He's Joe.
And this is a episode by episode rewatch of Buffy the Vampire Slayer by two queer English graduates with two cats and too much time on their hands.
Oh, he said three times there. Wait, no, or twice?
3 times, but it was two different kinds of twos with loads of literary brilliance going on there.
Well done.
So the episode we're talking about today is Never Kill a Boy on the First Date, which was written by Rob Des Hotel and Dean Batali and directed by David Semmel, and was originally broadcast in the past.
31st of March 1997.
Great, I didn't have that information in hand. It's fantastic. So what we're going to do to start off with is Brian, if you can recap for us your patchwork recollection of what happened in that episode, and then anything you miss out on I will fill in from the handy dandy episode guide I have in front of me.
Okay, do we not do like more chatter and stuff at the beginning? Do we do like, here's how our week has gone?
There'll be plenty of chatter throughout.
We didn't
structured fun.
We didn't do a recording last week because I can't remember why. I think we were just feeling sad or something, so we didn't bother.
I've never been sad.
But what was good is that we got Chinese food anyway.
Yeah, usually we get Chinese food as a reward for finishing this episode of the podcast. So
yeah, because I wouldn't want to do this unless I was severely motivated.
If we sound more hungry towards the end of every episode, that's why.
Yeah, no. I think if you like recorded me throughout the day, I think you could take 1 minute from each hour and hear the increasing hunger levels in my voice.
If you turn the volume up just right on the episode, you can actually hear your stomach grumbling.
That's probably not inaccurate. I was in the shower earlier and I could hear my stomach rumble. Not so much hear it as I could feel it like a deep rumbling and it sounding disgusting. It wasn't cute. Okay, so what happened in this episode? Basically nothing. Let's be fucking honest. What a fucking mess. Yeah. So Buffy... Oh wait, the Master...
Mm-hmm. He was a vampire. Spoilers.
He says a bunch of predictions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, yeah. The Anointed is coming. Buffy is in the library talking to Giles. Oh wait, then they're slaying and they're in the graveyard and they kill a guy. Oh wait, I got this wrong. Buffy is the opening of the episode. And then the Master's thing happens and then they're in the library, and in the library they have a ring and Giles says, we'll never find out what this is, and Buffy's like, here it is, because Giles didn't look at the back of the ring like a fucking idiot. And that... Joe...
I'm sorry.
This is the rudest thing that's ever happened.
So that's the first time I've turned my phone off silent in about 5 years, and I wasn't even for something important, so there you go.
So then they're in the library. Owen comes in. He's tall and blonde, so I'm attracted to him. What is he next? They go to the cafeteria and Cordelia shoulder checks Buffy, which is the best moment of the episode. And then Owen is inexplicably attracted to Buffy. Then they go to the Bronze. No, wait, Buffy has to go out hunting vampires because the Anointed is coming. Then they go, but there's none there, so they go to the Bronze, and Cordelia and Owen are dancing, and Buffy's sad. And then they go to school, and the next day, Buffy tries to... They go out on another... They say, we're going to go on another date, and they go on a date, and before they go on a date, Giles is there at Buffy's house. He says, don't go, come with me to the funeral home, so we can have a crossover with 6 Feet Under. Buffy says, no, I don't like HBO drama unless it's Sex and the City. And Owen and her go on a date, and they're in the Bronze, and then everyone turns up. People, for example, Cordelia is there, and then Angel is there because he knows Buffy from work, and then Willow and Xander turn up because they're on a double date, and then they all go to the funeral home together, except for Angel, who inexplicably doesn't go. And at the funeral home, Giles is there. Oh yeah, Willow and Xander go to the funeral home to take care of Giles, and they pop up out of a window. It's quite funny. And then they go to get Buffy. They go to beep her, but they can't beep her. So they're in the funeral home. Owen gets knocked out by the person who they think is the Anointed and is a vampire, and Buffy kills him because she thinks he killed her date. Then the next morning, Owen is all has a super hard on for the idea of dying. So Buffy is rightfully not that cool with that. So Giles and her have a really special moment that is actually probably one of the better early scenes. That's it. That's the whole episode.
Great. Okay, thank you, Brian. So let's just see if there are any key points about this episode that you left out. So the Anointed One is a vampire.
I said that after a while.
Is a very important prophetic vampire who's going to help the Order of Aurelius conquer the world. And
I thought it was to help the Master rise.
The Master is the leader of the Order of Aurelius.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the whole shtick.
Mm.
And crucially, this character only mentioned, we have not mentioned previously because he is a new character.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he is just a one-shot NPC for this episode, and his defining characteristic is that he really likes Emily Dickinson, and he's kind of rude, I think.
For sure.
We'll get into that. Something I want to mention before we go any further, because I think I forgot to do it on the last episode, but I really enjoy looking at and talking about the international titles for all these episodes.
Oh, fuck you. I also took notes of these because they were excellent for this one.
But I had mentioned this previously, so I'm actually going to jump back a little bit of order and just mention the one for the last episode, Teacher's Pet.
Okay.
Which in French, Portuguese, Finnish, Spanish, different dialects of Spanish.
So what, Mexico and Spain, you mean?
Presumably, yeah.
Okay.
Taking all this obviously from the Buffy Wikipedia. But they're all translated as Teacher's Pet, Teacher's Favourite, etc. Except for German, which translates the episode name Teacher's Pet as The Praying Mantis, which I think is a bit of a giveaway.
It's a little bit of a giveaway, but they are talking about praying mantises at the beginning of the episode, so you might think it's a metaphor. Also, I'm in no way surprised to hear that Germans don't have the idea of a teacher's pet because they're all fucking teacher's pets.
Well, we have the same problem with literalness for this episode.
It's pronounced literality.
Actually, no, German isn't too bad. So most of the translations are either "Never kill a boy on the first date." German is "Without Buffy, you live longer."
Yeah, I like that one.
Which I feel is a bit of a burn.
Finnish one was the best, though. Yeah.
The Finnish title translates as "Dating a Vampire," which is not what this episode is about.
But Buffy is a vampire.
I feel like the Finnish people may have misunderstood what this show is about.
Yeah, it also sounds great in Finnish. It's Treffit Vampiren Kansa.
I apologise to any of our Finnish listeners if that was a butchered pronunciation.
No, that was perfect.
Perfect. Okay,
that was perfect, actually. What I like about our podcast is that you could just watch read the Buffy Wikipedia. For each episode, it would take approximately 3 minutes per episode, and you could just skip our podcast entirely.
Yeah, that's one of the big selling points how skippable this podcast is. Yeah,
no, for sure. Okay. Oh, a quick note about the last episode. We definitely have released it, I'm sure. But the sound quality is atrocious. It's just buzzy and crap. That's on me. I'm sorry.
This is one of these things, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and you always have that trope of at the start of a podcast, somewhere within the first 5 episodes, they will have one where they say, "We're so sorry, the sound quality is so bad." Yeah. I've always been like, oh, I would never do that. I would just get it right.
No.
So apparently we're one of those people.
There's another episode, actually, the second episode we recorded, we recorded it we recorded through 2 microphones, and you're on one and I'm on the other. And my one sounds great, and Joel, your one sounds like trash.
I think about it.
Yeah, I was like, could you check the levels there for yourself? And you're like, yes. And you obviously like drag something up and down, but like, I'm doing the levels, and you're Homer Simpson conducting a nuclear reactor, basically.
Yeah, I am auditorily illiterate, so I'm again probably the wrong person to be partnering with on a podcast, or generally.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So, what did we like about this episode? I liked how slapstick this episode was. Slapstick might not be the right word. It had some great farce to it in ways. Like the episode starts, with Buffy, dusting this weirdly I say this specifically, weirdly like Native American looking vampire.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Because I find that the way they style the vampires in season 1 is specifically to make them look either, when they're in vampire form, they're specifically different ethnicities.
Okay.
Or with kind of like more Native American aesthetic or portrayal, or specifically on the other end of the spectrum, make them look more monstrous, like a kind of like a. Just like a, not like a vampirized human, but like an actual kind of like ghoul kind of thing.
Have you noticed that almost all vampires, so far at least, have like quite lank hair, and they're all hanging over their foreheads? And I think that's probably to hide some of the seams of the what do you call the thing? Silicone?
Let's go with silicone.
Yeah, prosthetics, I suppose.
Prosthetics, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I found out from reading the episode guide that came with the DVDs that it costs $5,000 every time that you see someone get dusted.
Wow.
On screen, so I can understand why they're trying to cut some corners there.
Okay, so speaking of dusting, this episode brings a huge fucking question mark to
Massive problem.
To the issue of the dusting, which is that the ring fucking stays around after he gets dusted.
Yeah, so Vanberg gets dusted and a plot point survives.
Yep.
Big old signet ring. Apparently, I don't know, whoever magic is involved with dusting knew that this was going to be important. It's like one of those items in your inventory in a video game that you can't destroy. But it's something I'll be keeping track of because I have very strong feelings with this. I think they are inconsistent with some of the physics on this.
Fair.
Fantasy physics on this show. But we start up with after the vampire is dusted, our kind of first farce come on with Giles kind of popping up from behind a grave, and kind of doing kind of a two-hander routine with Buffy, and kind of getting into and there's a lot of kind of specifically wordplay, and not necessarily clever wordplay in this episode, but kind of things like, you know, Giles keep talking about how the best way to stake someone is just to plunge and move on, and there's this weird kind of like risque beat to it.
Yeah, sure.
Which I quite enjoyed. Yeah, so I feel like with this episode we kind of hew back to the main plot of the season a bit. So the Master's back. Big introduction is concept of the Anointed as his like chosen warrior, which I always felt that was like a bigger part of the show than ultimately tends to be. Yeah. But it's just like I suppose it's the first kind of actual plot point we have out of this like vampire coven kind of thing.
Absolutely. So my note is that it's the first non-Monster of the Week episode that isn't the first two episodes, which is probably not that impressive given that we're only on episode 5 so far. But it is. It's the first episode where you're establishing as a show that you have continuity, you have continuous storylines, because this is the first time that the Master is has come back. And like I'd say in a lot of other TV shows at the time, what was happening if you had a continuous storyline is that you would you drop a note about them in episode 1 and then come back to it in episode 22. Rather and have them like have small roles throughout maybe, but this very much establishes itself as being a heavily serialized format. I suppose is what I mean. Yeah.
But ironically, I as soon as I say the word ironic, I've almost definitely used it incorrectly.
Fair.
But in contrast, while being quite important to the Master storyline, it's actually quite an aside episode in many ways as well, because there's a lot of scenes that are just like, and I suppose that this is the problem, is that we can't look at the high school scenes as not central to the plot, because really what this episode is trying to introduce for the first time is really this idea of the actual tension between, as Buffy says, her two selves, her high school self and her Slayer self. And that the central premise of the show is like, can this girl have it all? You know, can she be a regular 16 or 15 at the moment? 16. 16 now, okay.
Yeah, no, she's always 16. There's no point in which she's 15 in the TV show.
Do you know what confuses me about it?
The movie,
but also there's an episode later on where they flash back to when not Giles, pardon me.
The Whistler?
No, Merrick.
Merrick, yeah.
Merrick was Buffy's original Watcher, and that's a very rough adaptation of the film plot. Yeah. And they canonize it into Buffy, and she's 15 at the time.
And sucking a lollipop.
She's sucking a lollipop, and there's a whole kind of Lolita thing going on. That's a bit weird. But But she's 16 years old, and the episode is really about, you know, what happens when those worlds clash for the first time. Kind of touched on it a little bit, but this whole thing with Owen and wanting to take a boy on a date and how he would interact with the world, kind of basically, you know, this is what it's exploring, which is why the character of Owen as this quote unquote regular boy is very strange. I found him a very strange normie.
Yeah.
Show, you know.
So I can see this character being written into the show in season 4. A character who, you know, after Buffy has gone out with a bunch of different guys, like a vampire and then maybe another hunter a la Riley kind of thing, and then at some point being like, I want a normal boyfriend, and at that point finding someone who is actually a little obsessed with death. I can see that being the plot point, but having her be the first legitimate love interest for her just seems really off, actually. I actually agree, like, this is definitely the first episode that tries to explore the tension between Buffy's home life or Buffy's real vampire slaying life and her teenage life. And I love that theme. It's one of my favorite themes through the whole show. It creates some of the best moments of like genuine tension and genuine frustration from Buffy. I'm trying to think which episodes they are, but like it'll come back to me. But this isn't a good expression of that, to be honest. In lots of ways, I think the ending scene was excellent between Buffy and Giles, mainly because of Anthony Stewart Head. But I didn't think that as an episode the exploration of the theme was really great because the plot of the episode was non-existent.
Yeah, it was a bit, they were trying very hard to do something, and there's some interesting moments in there. But what I found interesting is the way that this has been presented for Buffy before, and really in a lot of ways going forward, is to do with her home life. Her home life is her example of her normality, and Joyce is not in this. And instead of Joyce's kind of like, her hiding from her mother that she's a slayer, her father is in, as in Giles. Giles takes on this fatherly role in it, and it's very much kind of like about how she needs to be acting responsibly as a slayer and not dating this boy and all that. And it's just an interesting contrast. But what's strange about Owen is that every boy, quote unquote, who's been on this show, they're either like, a dwee boys, or like dark, brooding and mysterious, or a meathead. They're very specific archetypes. And I feel in some ways that like the portrayal of Owen as this guy who appears saying, "I've lost my Emily Dickinson."
I hated it so much.
And this kind of like, I just stay inside like she did. I'm sheltered and welcome to my dark and twisted mind and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
This, for one thing, doesn't read as a boy that Buffy would be interested in.
No.
It 100% did not read that Cordelia would be as obsessed with getting his attention, and kind of like, as you said, shoulder checking Buffy out of the way. Like, it's just, it's a bit shoehorned in.
That's a fair point, but you're overlooking something quite big here, which is that he's a very attractive man.
I don't know if I thought he was as attractive as
he's so cute. No, he's definitely cute. I actually remember I watched this really bad gay movie called Broken Hearts Club, which has Timothy Olyphant as the main character, and John Mahoney's in it as like an elder gay, which is one of the many reasons I think that John Mahoney was actually queer, but it was an open secret. But
I actually thought that with John Mahoney, of course, playing Frasier's dad and Frasier. I actually thought was that not confirmed by the time he passed?
It wasn't confirmed, no.
Because he was gay. Like, that's definitely...
It's fairly certain to be true. There was an episode of Eeyore where he played a drag queen. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but this guy Owen was in an episode of... in this movie Broken Hearts Club, and he's hooking up with Timothy Olyphant. And Timothy Olyphant puts on The Carpenters to listen to when they're having sex. And the Owen actor gets offended. He's like, why would you want to do that? Listen to this. This is shit. And I was alongside Timothy Olyphant being like, get out, because the Carpenters are pretty good.
Was Timothy Olyphant attractive in this film?
He wasn't. He had I could be getting this completely wrong, but I'm pretty certain he had frosted tips.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
The other people who are in that movie, though, are Zach Braff and Dean Cain.
Okay, so like a lot of people who... Except for Timothy Olyphant, didn't go on to do anything beyond the things they did, really. Yeah.
No, Dean Cain is pretty successful. I think he did a lot of like E-entertainment hosting, and like in the same way that Mario Lopez did. Yeah. But I think he was very successful with it, as far as I know. The thing about that though as well is that it's actually quite a nice movie, and it was noted. I remember thinking about this at the time, and it was noted on the Wikipedia page for it when I looked it up there just a few minutes ago. Is that it's nothing to do with coming out or AIDS. Actually, there might be some things about coming out, but it's a really like straightforward rom-com, which is just so rare for queer media. But it was it's shit, and don't watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's what's a diss recommendation?
No, you may as well watch it. It's gay comedy from the early noughties. Who wouldn't want to watch it?
Okay, I'll say that the next time I try to make you watch a gay comedy you don't want to watch.
Like what?
A gay romp around town.
I have watched
the sequel.
That's a porn movie. I have watched more shitty movies in the pursuit of finding good queer movies than anyone else in the world, I'd say. I have watched such fucking shit. It's unbelievable.
Have you found any good gay movies?
No, not yet. Nah, just kidding. Moonlight is the That was it called? Moonlight is probably...
It was called La La Land.
La La Land, sorry.
That's
Moonlight
a
is...
joke. I won't make a lot of them. I'm not very good at that, but that was
that was okay. Moonlight is the best queer movie ever made, probably. Except for Brokeback Mountain, which is just one of the most beautiful love stories of all time.
There's a whole separate episode of a different podcast about what's the best queer movie ever made. But
Carol has to be up there.
I think this does establish what will surely be a trope of yours, and that you are authentically, but a very hyperbolic person. You're very declarative that Moonlight is the best queer movie ever made.
Weekend might be up there too. No, I'm actually going to stick by that. Moonlight it's one of the most beautifully shot movies of all time, I'd say, as well. But like genuinely, you see, the thing is, okay, if I say this is the best thing there's probably like 5 or 6 things I would apply that to. But that's it, and I genuinely think they're the best. And everything else is the worst, of course.
What about I Love You, Philip Morris? Is that not the best queer film of all time?
It's fine. You were expecting me to hate it, but it's fine.
No, I was trying to pick something which just demonstrably is like, not 90%.
No, it's absolutely fine.
Okay, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The reason why Buffy fancies Owen, the only canonical reason, can be that he has some vague Angel-lite things about him.
Okay, I totally disagree.
Okay.
I thought he was like anti-Angel, to be honest.
Okay, so that's
because there's a point where they're standing next to each other, like a blonde guy and like dark-haired guy, really like bright all-American face on Owen, and like the sultriness of David Boreanaz. I thought they were specifically meant to be at odds with each other, especially in personality. And Joel, I'll tell you why Buffy likes him so much. Look what he looks like now.
Okay, he is more attractive now. This is of no use to our listeners.
Just Google him.
But what I will
just
say,
fucking Google it.
What's his name?
The actor.
Yeah.
I wrote it down.
You go and find out what I said.
I'm gonna make this noise until I find it. It was Christopher Veal. Or Weil, I'm not sure.
So the actor's name is Christopher Weil.
Mm-hmm.
W-I-E-H-L.
I-E-H-L. I-E-H-L, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So Google him, tell us what you think. But, okay, let's see. Okay, so atypically for you, Brian, you're focusing on the physical. Let's see how he's described. Willow says he's solitary, mysterious. He can brood for 40 minutes straight. I know, I've clocked him.
Yeah.
And she also says he's sensitive yet manly. Like, he is a human. He's a more approachable version of what am I trying to say here?
Angel is not sensitive.
He is so sensitive. He is so.
I watched Angel dance out of a scene one time in Angel.
Okay, that's a whole different thing. But there is, just for context, there is an episode of Angel where Angel the character broods out of the scene, and they took some B-roll footage of David Boreanaz doing this from a distance, presuming no one would see this on television, which they couldn't have at the time. And he is just grinning and shuffling out of the scene, and it is just an error that has been taken in this episode. And it is amazing. But he's so like, his whole thing is that he's a puppy dog. He's like, oh, take care of yourself. Oh, and even when they're in the bronze, he's like, oh, you're on a date. He is sensitive.
No, okay, that's not sensitivity. That is American
by his soul.
No, that is what American writers think sensitive is, when your basis is Joss Whedon, who actually I'm not going to talk about Joss Whedon's issues because that's another thing in itself, but Joss Whedon, who clearly thinks that all characters should write at 60 words a second, speak at 60 words a second. So like Angel, who comes along, says basically nothing, broods, and then every so often drops in something, sometimes mysterious for sure. He's not fucking sensitive. There's nothing sensitive about him.
Well, I think within the context of this show, he's meant to be perceived as like he's like a Heathcliff type character. Like
Heathcliff is so not sensitive. Heathcliff is like, he's very similar to Heathcliff in the sense that they're both racially questionable, which I can't believe I'm bringing that up like for the 4th time about David Boreanaz. I'm actually a racist. I'm sorry. But
I thought you were saying something about the character Angel meant to be Irish. I thought that.
That's true. But also Heathcliff, they're both just like incredibly angry. Heathcliff is not sensitive. Heathcliff is so insensitive.
I think we can unpack. We'll have to unpack this more as we go on, because I do.
Wuthering Heights isn't a romance novel.
Like, I do think it's not something you can just disregard, because I do think if you ask people, if you took like a straw poll of people, oh, is Angel meant to be kind of a sensitive character, particularly this early like romantic phase with Buffy?
Okay.
I think there's meant to be something kind of like romantic and brooding about him, and obviously there's a whole thing, because like if you don't have that, you can't turn it on his head with Angelus.
But you see, that's the thing, is Angelus is so much more okay, Angel's protective, Angelus is reckless. And like Angel is quiet and brooding, whereas Angelus is charismatic and slapstick and aggressive. You know, it's very like...
So is it not tortured to, or is it not sensitive to torture yourself for 200 years because you feel so bad about all the people you killed?
No, that's not sensitive.
I just mean in this context. I'm not saying like, you know, in kind of actually a more realistic sense, but I just mean in terms of writing, I think that's meant to be like, you know, oh, the tortures vampire.
I've always read him as a bit aloof and over it, more so than sensitive. I think those are pretty diametric. One of the things I'm aware of with other podcasts is that people tend to the people who are doing it tend to be actual experts in the subject. Like one of them at least, like Gilmore Guys, for instance, your man Kevin something. I've only watched 80 episodes or 100 million episodes of that podcast. So
Listen to?
Yeah.
As Kevin Gilmore Guy, that's his name.
Kevin Gilmore Guys. So he knows a genuine large amount about the show and about the production of the show, etc., etc. I feel like people who are listening to Buffy podcasts might just want like extensive amounts of detail and continuity and goofs and all these things. I'm sometimes worried that, you know, I mean, I like Buffy a lot. I know quite a lot about Buffy. I can talk about Buffy for a long time, but I'm bad at referencing and I'm bad at remembering things.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, okay.
Like I'm literally keeping track of how many times like Giles gets knocked out. Like I'm that half of this show. I'm not the funny, insightful, or intelligent half.
Neither am I.
No,
this is a problem.
You are, and I'm the administrator.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, yeah, if you want to be the straight man, that makes sense because you're bisexual. And that's basically the same thing.
And pivoting, spinning on a dime from racism to biphobia. So we move back into Xander once again being highlighted as quite a bit of a creep in this episode.
Seriously?
So, but he did have one funny line which I did laugh at, which is when Buffy arrives in the cafeteria, and he nonchalantly says, "Oh hey Buffy, how'd the slaying go?" And she's like, "Shut up." So he's like, "Oh sorry, how'd the laying go?"
Yeah, that was excellent.
That was funny. That was a funny line. But he is just again doing this thing of like, you know, just constantly trying to discourage her from dating Owen. The seeing Owen, Angel, and Xander together in the Bronze, it just felt like, well, you really are the worst of these three, you know?
Yeah.
And moving away from all the like, oh, Xander is a creep, you know, semi-goofs. There is a scene where they're in her bedroom and Buffy's getting changed, and he's trying to peep on her through the music box, like through the mirror.
I missed that shot.
Yeah, so specifically that Buffy is getting changed, trying on her outfits. She tells him to turn around. Willow's okay because lol. Apparently that's not a problem.
No, I don't think queer women have problems with seeing each other nude anyway.
No, I'm not saying that they do, but I'm just saying like this episode very much portrays Willow as straight because it's the whole thing about, oh, she pretends to be dating Xander at one point because we always knew we would end up together, so we was quite the middleman. And Xander can't watch her get changed, but Willow can. It's just a whole thing where like this is straight Willow TM. But Xander turns away from her and specifically spends a couple minutes playing with her music box to try and get the mirror at the right angle that he can see her getting changed, and that is scummy as all fuck.
That's gross. I mean, like if a girl is gonna like trust you to be standing in her bedroom with her while she's getting changed, at least don't try to have a peep. That's gross.
These are the bars that we set.
Yeah.
For men that they still manage to trip over.
I mean, like it's a visual gag, and that's fine, but still. A couple of points there. So, Owen in the cafeteria makes a joke about soiling green.
Yes.
Which is fine. That's a throwaway, gross food thing. But what I really hated about it was that it just really established him as being that annoying guy, you know, who probably told everyone to read Fahrenheit 511?
451?
451, yeah, sorry. And Slaughterhouse 5, both of which are good books, but he probably was going around telling people to read those and like, you know, watching, you know, 70s science fiction movies and probably Hitchcock and stuff, and I was like, ugh.
It's difficult to criticize someone in Buffyverse though for making pop culture or making culture references.
But the kind of culture references they're making are very distinct. I think that they have different registers of culture references. Buffy is very rarely nerd culture. Willow would be the kind of person who'd say Scooby Gang, whereas that I could see Xander saying something about Soylent Green as well. One of the great lines there in the cafeteria, I thought, was when Cordelia asks Owen to go to the dance with her. And Owen's like, oh, who's going? And Cordelia's like, I'm going. And Owen says, who else? And she says, and I'm like, in a moment of genuine confusion, you mean besides me?
Yeah.
Which I was just like, oh, Cordelia. I want the Cordelia show.
Cordelia does a masterclass in this episode again. As you mentioned earlier, when she sees Buffy going to sit with Owen, she just walks in and Sugar checks her, knocks her food onto the floor, and just generally calls Buffy scum. And then later on, when they're in the bronze, she has a line where she sees Angel walk in, where she says that she says something along the lines like, "Who's this tall glass of salty goodness?" And then makes a joke saying that boy is going to need some serious oxygen when through with him because allusion to the fact that he is a vampire, which she does not know yet. But no, she does great in this, and she really is like, she has no interaction with the main plot of the episode. She is just trying to, get her bit the whole way through. Yep. To the point where at one point Owen says that Cordelia is kind of grabby. Yeah. So she's very single-minded throughout the whole thing.
Oh, here's an issue for you. What do we make of the gender roles in this episode? Because I kind of took it as one of the reasons that Owen exists in this episode is so that he can act as I'm not going to say foil, as a counterpart to Buffy's strength.
Yeah.
So Buffy obviously is the opposite of what the heroine of a teen show would have been like in the 90s. Which I'm saying that very presumptuously, but like all I have to go by is Dawson's Creek, which is full of women who are absolutely incredibly annoying, and 90210. No, sorry, not 90210. I'm trying to say here. That's pretty much the only other teen drama I've watched from the 90s. But is Buffy's strength supposed to be kind of juxtaposed with Owen's like weakness here? Is that what's supposed to be going on here? Is it that Buffy's strong and like Owen is the wayfish character?
I think there's definitely that, and I think that if anything, I feel like Buffy's kind of slayer side, or the strength she gets from expressing herself in that way and going into danger, is juxtaposed, because there's even a couple of things where Owen clearly is like just not capable of doing what she's doing, but he talks about protecting her, and she's like, sure. Oh, I would have killed that guy, and Buffy's like always very generous about that stuff. She's like, yeah, thanks so much for helping me, you would have done great.
But I mean, that's the role of the woman in society, isn't it? Just to put up with the
But is it that with Buffy Summers, or is it just her being kind of pretty decent? Because I don't think she likes to make people feel bad for these kind of things. That's my genuine feeling through, is that she generally doesn't want to be like, oh, I'm so much better than you.
Sure.
She does that with enemies, not with people who can't do any better.
Yeah.
But in terms of, I would like to read this as this is a straight up recasting. What is this scene like if it's a woman who is in control and is a powerful one? Because specifically, there's a scene in the Bronze where Buffy has to leave and go fight the vampires, and everyone's talking about her. Angel's there, Owen's there, Xander's there. And when she leaves, Owen and Angel are standing beside each other looking after her wistfully, which is something that we usually have the man ride off into battle, and the two women are like, oh, he's so brave. And these two guys are just like, God, she's amazing, she's the strangest girl. It's a bit rough around the edges thematically, sure. But it is trying to be let's just write this with the woman very much in the centre, which obviously the show just consistently smashes the Bechdel test in that regard, and the reverse Bechdel test.
Absolutely. 2 points on that. Willow is a great wingman. I think this is going to be something that we notice as we go through the show. Willow consistently supports Buffy in her decisions when it comes to men, and really engages with it, and always makes friends with men that she's dating. Mm-hmm. And I find that very, really nice. Another point, do we have an issue with the plot point of Cordelia and Buffy competing for Owen's attention? because that's a bit like that is a bit traditional.
It is, but it's also like high school is quite traditional, in some ways, and I think like you have to have some of the stereotypes for her to be able to book them, and like
sure,
if anything, like I'm very much of the opinion that it's not being Slayer that makes Buffy strong; it's being Buffy that makes Buffy strong. You know what I mean? But it is definitely a means by which she comes to articulate her own personal strength. So I think there is like a lot of the things she does could be quite stereotypical, and I think she's 16. I think some of the ways that she interacts with boys in this episode is a good example of it. She's 16. She wants boys to like her, and she kind of dumbs herself down a bit to be on their level.
Yeah.
Like, maybe she hasn't read Emily Dickinson, but she is just sharper than Owen is.
Yeah.
And she
fools him a lot as well.
She listens to his boring stories and wants him to feel like he's the smarter one a little bit. And I don't think that's like her being weak anyway. I think that's actually just her being 16.
Yeah.
I think the stuff with her and Cordelia is just constantly an expression of that. How the Buffy's mind dealing with this like, this bitch Cordelia and this bitch the Master is kind of like some of it is quite similar in terms of like they're both just kind of getting on her case. Yeah.
Sure. One of the things I found really, really egregious about what Owen said is at one point he says, I'm not sure if he says girls my age. 1 second, I have to look it up. I find most girls pretty frivolous.
Yeah, it's like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I mean, like...
Well, he also starts off when he sees Buffy in the library, at which point, okay, so Owen walks into the school library, and Giles, the school librarian, turns around and says, "What do you want?" And he's like, "Well, check out a book. You have an actual job here, yeah."
Yeah.
But he starts like...
It's even better set up line than that. It's, "What do you want?" And he responds, "A book?"
Yeah. And he says to Buffy, "I didn't think that I'd find you here. I do think you can read." And later on, there's this whole gag about how she forgot the time, so he gives her his watch, which is a pocket watch. And there is a kind of great juxtaposition there where Xander forlornly looks at his own watch, which is a Tweety Bird watch.
That was my favourite visual joke of the episode, except for the shoulder check.
I think they move away from purely visual sight gags like that quite as much.
The close up shots get dropped as the show goes on. They rely more on
being able to light scenes.
That's true.
But when Owen gives her the watch, it's meant to be playful, but it's a little condescending. It's like, when the little hand is here, that means it's 8 o'clock, etc. Just the whole way through, I was kind of like, kind of just go fuck yourself a bit. Like, he's kind of just really like condescending. Yeah.
I was a little torn about that. Like, I mean, let's be real, my news interaction, but like, I was also like a bit like, that's really condescending. But then Buffy responds saying something sarcastic, like, "Oh, is that how it works?" kind of thing. And like kind of confirming that like she's well aware of looking to read a watch.
I suppose I know it's meant to be playful, but I'm not being kind of like blinded about that. Like,
sure.
Obviously I understand being playful in this context, but I just like looking as we are at the kind of the breadth of Buffy. Like, Owen was the first boy she kisses on the show. Yep. And he is probably the worst person she dates in the whole show. Like the most like nebbish and the most like, okay, I suppose there are different metrics of worse, but like he's the most like nothing person. Yeah. My
least favorite is the guy who she dates in season 3. Scott? No.
Oh, the college guy?
No, not the college guy. The guy who she starts the rumor that he's gay, or maybe he does turn out to be gay.
Is he the football guy? Like he's like a jock?
No, I think he's like anti-jock. He's like the really safe bet in season 3, or maybe it's the end of season 2.
She starts a rumor that he's gay. This needs more investigation.
I'm actually going to look this up really quickly. You just talk there, Joe. Quick, talk.
I'm going to be very, like... I'm going to have some questions about continuing this Buffy podcast about one of the greatest women who ever lived. If she's like, something didn't work out with boys, so she started a rumour that he was gay. That's a whole different thing.
Yeah, Scott Hope. Got that right. Woohoo. The actor, I think, is in other things. Fab Filippo.
Fab Filippo?
Yeah, is that his actual name?
His actual human name, okay. No judgment.
Oh, sorry. Okay, no, way better thing here. Scott spreads rumours after they break up that Buffy was lesbian, and then came out as gay later in college.
Okay, so that makes a lot more sense.
That's way better.
See, that was a quite good save. Quite like in this episode, there's a bit where they're talking about Emily Dickinson, and Giles says, "Well, she's quite a good poet, for a And Buffy's like, a girl? He's like, no, for an American. But there was this moment where I was like, oh, please, Rupert, like, please don't say something sexist. And I was like, oh, my faith is reaffirmed. I'm also glad
that that Giles aligns himself with the confessionalists in this. Because the confessionalist, he could so easily be a Walt Whitman kind of man, and aligning himself with the Emily Dickinsons of American poetry. I like it.
He's a bit of a conundrum because, like, what I became very aware of in this episode, and Buffy has a great line in this episode, an iconic line where she says, "If the apocalypse comes, beep me."
Excellent.
But I became very aware that I don't really understand how beeper works, and I had this problem a couple of years ago in my professional life where I was dealing with an organisation which was very old-fashioned and required me to fax something. And I realised I did not know how to fax. I didn't know how to use a fax machine. No. So I had to go.
I don't think people at the time knew how to use them.
But I had to go to one of my colleagues and be like, I was in a reasonably senior position at the time. I was with a piece of paper. Like, can you help me use the fax machine? And I felt like this was the beeper. What was interesting, I don't know how it works.
No.
But Giles also didn't know how it worked, because he called it like this beeping machine or whatever. So I'm like, was there a very narrow window age wise where you I was going to use a word which, I was going to say grok, which is a very nerdy science fiction word to mean understand intuitively, but where you just get how a beeper works.
Sure. My dad had a beeper at one point, or sorry, a pager.
Yeah, but your dad also had like one of those laptops that were like, I'm exaggerating, but like full of like, electron tubes and the size of rooms.
Fair. He actually specifically had this while one of my sisters, it must have been 18, but when 18 was being born, because he wanted to be able to know when my mom went into labour, so he had a pager. So he got paid. God, I think 18 was born on a Sunday, so it's okay. So one of the things I have noted about this episode was, at one point, the bus that crashes is the airport shuttle. And I was like, is there a Sunnydale airport? I was like, is there? So I googled it, and not only is there a Sunnydale airport, there's a Wikipedia entry for it on Buffy.wikia.
That does not surprise me in the slightest.
No, but it was just so annoying. It does actually turn up in a couple of episodes, though it's mentioned far more often. I couldn't remember any of the episodes where it actually visually turns up, but one of the other things I could think of was maybe when Kendra arrives.
Although I feel like, okay, Kendra's portrayal is a whole other conversation, but I have this could be a wild misremembering. I have the feeling like she arrives on a boat, like, as in like packing a shipping crate or
she does
mad like that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. She flies in a shipping crate to Sunnydale.
Yes, okay.
I'm pretty sure Sunnydale is landlocked. I don't think they have a beach at any point.
That may be the case. I think they're going to drive to the beach, but they're in California there within some American distance of the beach. Yeah.
But secondly, they say when she's going back home that she's going to fly coach.
Yes, so she's
excited about that.
Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and also what I thought was interesting is we visit Sunnydale Funeral Home in this episode, which seems like somewhere they would go a lot in Buffy, but I don't really there's not a lot of scenes set there. But it was blinking you miss it. But the slogan, as mad the funeral homes have slogans, the slogan of Sunnydale Funeral Home was "Let us take care of the rest."
Ooh.
Whereas someone had fun writing that. Someone like me had fun writing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I always thought the airport shuttle and everything to do with this episode, but particularly the shuttle and the way it's portrayed, it just feels like the whole episode feels a little Twilight Zone-y towards the end.
Sure.
And again, we have the issue of when they're in the funeral home, and let's talk a little bit about the actual vampire in a second. But when they're in a funeral home, you can't see them. They're in the dark. And I'm sure those actors are making expressions, but I don't know what they are.
Absolutely. In terms of the Twilight Zone-ness of that whole thing, is that there's no point of view character, which is very rare for Buffy scenes. It's a good few scenes that has no character who we can relate to. Even the early, in the opening scenes, you get Darla, and Darla is so clearly a point of view character, and stuff like that. But you very rarely see vampiric or monster stuff happening without one of the gang there. Or can you think of they usually find a scene as it happened, and they kind of build things back up from there. But you very rarely see things from the perspective of monsters or non Scooby Gang people, or the villains. Of course, are another major point of view.
Yeah, it was a little unfocused in that respect.
It was. I totally actually agree. That's exactly my feeling about this episode. It's unfocused.
And let's talk about kind of the central, villain, as it were, because again, spoilers, but the very obvious twist here is meant to be that 5 will die, and from their ashes the Anointed One will rise. And there's a bus, and there's a guy who's spouting biblical prophecy, who already looks like he's halfway to being a drag queen. He looks like his eyebrows have been shaved back, and he's kind of ready to put on his makeup.
Pork and beans. Yeah,
just saying some weird shit, and just really generic kind of if you were to Google serial killer dialogue, it would be this kind of biblical stuff. Yeah. And then there's a young boy in the bus who's getting scared by this twist. The serial killer vampire is not actually the Anointed One, it's the little boy Colin, and that's kind of the whole Anointed One arc. But they allude to this character Andrew Borba, the killer who gets vampirized, that he was responsible for a double murder, and there's this whole suggesting that he was a serial killer, but it's not explored at all. He just says some deranged stuff, and then particularly the scenes with the vampires in the funeral home, there's a lot of plot armor for the characters, and plot armor being if you when you're a protagonist, you're not going to get hurt because the plot says you don't get hurt. There's a lot of Giles being allowed to walk in and close a door. There's a lot of there's one scene where Andrew Borba the vampire, what we're meant to read from it is he bashes Owen's head in with a door. Buffy thinks he's killed him, and that motivates her. He lightly taps Owen with the door, and then you can see the actor okay, what do I do now? Because a real I'm moving from my mark to my mark.
Yeah.
It's just a very unusual. It's a very it's a good example of how another show would have done every Buffy episode, if you know what I mean, or every vampire episode.
Yep, no, I totally agree. There's another scene that I found to be a similar kind of setup, where Giles is getting into the building, into the funeral home, and the vampires turn up, and they kind of just try to scare him a little bit, and he runs away.
Ooh, that kind of thing.
Yeah, as opposed to kind of really seriously pursuing him in any way. That does happen a reasonable amount in the show, where vampires will spook you before trying to kill you because they have more interest in, I don't know, getting you into a place in terms of the plot than they do in actually killing you.
Yeah, which is inconsistent because fear actually makes meat tougher, so I don't think they would want to terrorize their victims.
They don't eat meat though.
Yeah, but they drink the blood, and there definitely is a kind of thing. There definitely is the implication that if you're high, your blood tastes different. The blood of a vampire is the sweetest, etc. So there's a whole idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh, specifically, the blood of a slayer, or sorry, not blood of a vampire. Blood of a slayer is meant to be incredibly potent, kind of
Yes, so that is explored a good amount. Though I always wonder if that's just a. I wonder if that's a plot point, or if it's a, or if it's kind of a glory kind of thing.
Good point. Maybe it's a placebo.
What did you think of the scene where, just after Willow and Xander were pretending to go on a double date, which was incredibly embarrassing, but the part where Buffy says, "Ugh, bite me," and there's a forlorn shot of Angel being like, "Oh, I'd like to."
Yeah, it's when you know that Angel's a vampire, it's really painted on the walls.
Yes.
I know at the time they thought they were doing something, and there are great shows now that do twists like that. I actually can't discuss any of them because they will be genuine spoilers for things which are still on television. But that was such a big reveal for them. But when we look back at it now, she says, "Oh, bite me." Camera goes to Angel, and he bites his lip.
Yeah, he really does.
And he's like, love to do that, but I can't, not yet.
Yeah, will do. Can't
will
do,
yeah. But when you see where Angel goes down the line, a few more seasons of Buffy and into Angel, etc. It is quite funny watching him now because he's so. He's the weird thing about immortal characters like vampires is that Angel obviously has character development, but he's meant to be roughly the same as he has been for 290 years or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But he is kind of useless right now. He's ineffectual, and
sure is.
Where Angel would otherwise go on and just kind of potentially use a grappling gun or something, but he would go and do something.
Yeah, I actually really didn't understand why he doesn't help them at this point in the episode. I mean, he would have been a reasonably good idea to bring along to this funeral home.
I'm not clear about this. Is there a thing that he's trying not to draw attention too much to himself with the Master because he used to be one of the Master's fellas?
Yeah, he's not the Master's.
He's not?
The Master's not his sire, is he?
No, not directly.
Darla is sire.
There's always this question of like, you can get into this as we go on, but the implication is that if someone's your grandsire, they're your sire, that there's a bloodline essentially.
Sure.
But it's not. It's more about the fact that he used to run with the Master's crew.
Sure.
Like he's trying to stay on the DL a bit. So that could be why he didn't get involved.
Maybe.
With that. It's super inconsistent. Like he definitely does do other things. And I think Darla saw him at some point, didn't she? In the last couple of episodes.
No. Darla didn't. He pretty much stayed out of the fight in episodes 1 and 2. He kind of just popped along to give advice at different points.
Sure.
And I mean, there's no implication so far that Angel can fight. I don't think there has been a scene where he's fought anyone or he's avoided fighting anyone. He arrived at the end of a fight in episode 1.
That's actually a good point from a narrative point of view. That Angel could be potentially a Giles type character.
Sure. And
you're trying to keep as much mysterious about him as possible, because you couldn't have a scene where Angel is in a fight where he doesn't rip someone's head off, kind of thing.
Agreed. I was really disappointed to see in this episode that they completely fridge a character.
Who's that?
They fridge Giles.
Oh yeah, because Giles gets hit by a fridge.
No, because he hides in a fucking fridge for a while.
He does hide in a fridge.
That was okay. So my notes: Buffy is wandering through the funeral home, and I had a beautiful flash. It was like the threshold of revelation. My notes say in all caps, Giles is in the fucking fridge. I just remembered this. I was so excited because I was like,
and
let's go.
He's in his words, bunking with a dead fellow.
Yeah.
Slides out, and you feel like he was waiting for that moment. He was like, all my theatre training is going to coalesce into me sliding out. It's like, with this cadaver. And also there's like another point where Owen bashes in the vampire's head using someone's ashes, which is also very cremains, as we learned from
6 Feet Under is the only other TV show we reference in this podcast.
What were 6 Feet Under podcast we call it?
Oh,
Fisher Fellas.
No, it would be Six Fellows Under.
6 Fellows Under. Okay.
Sucks Feet Unders?
Sucks Feet Under. That's really, that's a deep cut, but, I think that would get the really hardcore 6 Feet Under fans.
What, Sucks Feet Unders?
Yeah.
Oh, sucking feet.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were being clever.
No, I wasn't at all.
Okay.
I was making a sucking joke of, I don't know. Anyway.
So, Giles' growing concussion, medical record, he gets knocked out in the crematorium.
Yep.
As does Buffy, very briefly.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people are getting bashed on the head here. But there is just a fantastic resolution where she flips a guy just headlong into something I couldn't remember the word for, so I wrote down crematory. I'm not sure if that's correct.
I was going to say a furnace.
Furnace is probably more accurate, but yeah, it burns the vampire alive or undead. And then Owen was like, "Oh, where'd that guy go?" I was like, "Oh, he's gone." I was like, "No, you just
scared him away." Is what
yeah,
saying.
you just burnt essentially a sentient creature alive. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, that's what he would think. But yeah, I was very surprised that it wasn't the Wilhelm scream when he gets thrown into the furnace. He also they don't throw him into the furnace. He dives face forward into it.
He slides forward gracefully. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a mess. So that part where a couple of things here. So why does Owen act in any of the ways that he does in these scenes? At one point, Buffy says to Xander and Willow, "Guys, watch him." About Owen, while Owen is standing the same distance away from her as the other two. There's no explanation for that. You know, why would she be saying that? It's really odd. And then another point, they're running away and Buffy says, "I'm going after her, basically. I'm going to go take care of this vampire."
Mm-hmm.
And Xander says to Owen, "She'll be okay." And Owen's like, "Okay." And they start running away.
Yeah.
It's like, why would he believe them? Why on earth would he be like, "Oh yeah, no, that's fine"?
He also was so quick to be like, "Let's go break into this funeral home."
Yeah.
But I think what pulls it all together is in the last scene that they have together. Where he's like, "Oh, I really enjoyed that creepy night we had. can we do some other dangerous things soon? Can we head downtown at 3 o'clock in the morning tonight and pick a fight in some random bar? I was like, whoa, dude, like, you got some issues. Like, that's a whole different thing. Yeah,
for sure. Another issue he has is that in the crematorium area, he says, "See that? He tried to bite me. What a sissy."
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's 100% a weird little homophobic joke.
Yeah,
well, not a joke, but like that's definitely him being like,
it's in character.
He's like, oh, that boy tried to kiss me. What the fuck?
Yeah. There's one of the many intersections between kissing and biting in this show. Yeah.
Yeah, true, actually.
But yeah, I actually felt that the way that Buffy reacted to that was like, and this is where, and I think we watched Buffy again. We attempted to start watching season 1 probably a couple of years ago, was it? Yeah,
we got into reasonably far into season 2 about 3 years ago.
Yeah. So at the time, I think this kind of ending, we were taken aback by how good it was as well. Her reaction to Owen, I was expecting to be more kind of like, oh well, he's just he's just a chaser, he's just a thrill seeker. Yeah. It was a little bit more kind of like
bug chaser, actually.
Yeah, it was a little more nuanced. It was like, she says to Giles that, it's okay with you two because you know the score and you're careful, but he wants to be danger man, and it was more kind of about how he actually doesn't have the right disposition for it. In addition to him being kind of like not interested in her for Buffy, but interested in him for the vampire slayer.
Sure.
Which I thought was quite good. It's a kind of really good point that, like, for one reason or another, the Scooby Gang do work as a unit. In terms of personality,
and they're trying to do the right thing. Ultimately, they're not like they got into this via danger as a negative thing. I can't believe I'm interpreting this or trying to interpret this in a pseudo literary way, but like, let's say
that's the whole premise of our podcast.
Oh yeah, so Xander and Willow get into this whole thing because Jesse gets abducted or / turned, and that's their entry point. And also Willow becomes in danger. So their entry point is through their friends getting in danger and themselves getting in danger and wanting to protect themselves and their friends against that. Whereas Owen gets into it via, thrill seeking. Here's a little thing for you. And I don't think I've actually read this otherwise. If I have, I'm sorry for whatever thing I read this in, and I'm now parroting it from. But the scene where Owen isn't dead, where Buffy is fighting her man and thinks that Owen is dead and is fighting really hard because she thinks he's dead, which was a good scene. I thought that was reasonably good, pummeling with some good good dialogue.
What I will just say is she does do a flip over a table that's completely unnecessary.
Yep.
And strategically very terrible idea.
Yeah, and I liked how it was bookended by shots of Sarah Michelle Gellar doing pretending to land a flip because it was so clearly not her.
Vamping, so to speak.
Oh, so much. Anyway, Xander doesn't tell her that that Owen is alive. Where Willow goes to shout, "Oh, he's alive! Don't worry about it." And Xander's like, "No, don't tell her." And I thought this was very, very reminiscent of when in the end of season 2, Xander won't tell Buffy that Angel was getting his soul back when Willow asks him to ask her.
Brian, this is interesting, but I actually think it was the other way around. I think Xander was about to shout out Owen's okay, and then Willow was like, no, just leave her for a minute.
Okay, we're pausing recording. Sorry. Actually, I was right.
I was right.
Yeah. Surprising fucking no one.
Don't bother keeping a counter of that. It won't happen very often.
So, yep. Willow goes to tell Buffy that Owen is still alive, and Xander says, no, leave her be, basically. And I thought it was very reminiscent of, at the end of season 2, which is, of course, one of the great continuity points of Buffy is how long it takes Buffy to find out about that.
It's amazing. I think we'll actually save that until we get closer to talk about that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
It's incredible.
I totally agree. It's one of my favourite little notes.
So let me talk a bit about Buffy fashion.
Bashing.
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 So, like, the outfits in this episode were quite bad, but they weren't, like, atypically bad, so I don't have a lot to say about it.
Unfortunately, as well, there weren't very many outfit changes because a lot of it happens over the space of one day.
Yeah. What I will point out is, slightly adjacent to bashing, At one point, Buffy asks Giles if her outfit makes her look fat, and I've nothing serious to say about that. I just thought it was funny because it's like, this is not like a typical relationship these two people have, and it just made me. I thought it was cute.
Yeah, absolutely. Come here. We should actually talk about the end of the episode a little bit more, but let's do that after Bastion.
Yeah. Absolutely. So Buffy at one point is wearing a tiger print onesie.
Okay, yeah, she is.
Which apparently come back into fashion, but like it's a bizarre item for her to be wearing.
She's also wearing a crop top with crop circles on it.
Yeah,
I was like, is that a visual pun?
It's a satin baby blue crop top which has white, but what I interpret as bullseyes on them. And in the same scene, Xander is wearing a cut of a shirt which, I don't want to tell that at school you work in the garment industry.
I do.
But it's a woman's cut, is what it looks like. It's a very it's very tight and willowy, and it's like green, but with lily green and grey polka circles on it.
That's gross.
It's like something that a woman would wear if she owned an art gallery.
I also think he might have been wearing St. Christopher's medallion, which is a bit odd.
Yeah, that's definitely unusual.
Willow was wearing an absolutely lovely jumper the whole way through the main section, which was like, it was kind of like an ombre on it effect. It was like a kind of, I think it was blue to orange.
I wrote down that top Willow was wearing looked like one of those cards you would get when you're picking paint, where it's like, here's all different
sure,
shades.
That's a good shout. The other fashion note I majorly noted is that Willow at the end of the episode is wearing a yellow turtleneck with a red jacket.
She needs to be stopped. No,
it was amazing. I loved it so much.
Yeah,
I wish I could wear that.
Otherwise, fashion-wise, it was pretty okay.
Yeah, it was fine.
I did note that probably one of the reasons why he found Owen attractive and why he is attractive is like Angel. He just wears old standards. He just wears a blue shirt and black trousers.
Yeah, absolutely.
He just wears a jacket. It's just like he's just dressed like a normal person.
Yeah. Actually, Buffy on her date wears something quite nice, which is it's a really nice green dress with a pink coat over it, and I actually thought it was quite nice. I was like, oh, that's a nice kind of matching colours, and they're kind of pastel-y, and they were the same length, which is it was like, I think it doesn't get done too much anymore, but it was really nice.
That's the thing, like Buffy wears some ridiculous things, but she pulls them off.
Yeah. Okay, so the last couple of scenes there. So do you have any other fashion notes? So the last couple of scenes there, the interaction between Buffy and Giles, I think this is probably by far the most redeeming scene of the episode. It's also probably the best written scene so far in the show. It's a little interaction where Giles tells Buffy that he when he was growing up, his father and his grandmother were watchers, and he found out that he was going to have to be a watcher too, which obviously isn't accurate because women can't be watchers. Oh, women can be watchers.
Women can be watchers.
Sorry, I'm such
that's it's a very this is
a very patriarchal society, but it's
this is a common misunderstanding. The Watchers Council and the Watchers are a very patriarchal organisation.
Yeah,
but canonically, his grandmother and two of his aunts were Watchers.
Oh, so cool.
But in very much like a British school marm kind of way.
Yeah.
But in the same way that there was women in Britain, in British hierarchies of organisations.
Sure.
But it's just a very patriarchal thing.
Okay, so yes, a couple of points here, but no, it's a lovely interaction. He says he wanted to be a fighter pilot. Booker, do you mind? Come here. Come on, you can be on the podcast too. Okay, I have him on my lap now. So, so he says he wanted to be a fighter pilot or a greengrocer, and he's just saying, it's all about responsibility and sacrifice, and that is the show. That's what the show is about that relationship majorly, I think, and about what your responsibility is to other people and what you'll sacrifice for them. And it was like, it was highlighting at an early point like a genuine thing about the show.
The relationship between Buffy and Giles is probably the central relationship in the show for me.
Fair. I would say Buffy and Willow personally.
Buffy and Willow is like they swap position for me constantly, but Giles is such a fundamental one where Giles is also trapped by this patriarchal, this sense of tradition. He is so encompassed by facts and the structure and the laws and the rules
Sure.
and minutiae, the lore, the myth. And he, unlike so many other characters, but like Buffy, is able to transcend that. He becomes something more than that. And he doesn't talk down to her.
He doesn't know.
He potentially understands a little bit more than she does because of her age, that she is 16 and kind of the tensions involved there.
Sure.
But he is that classic like good adult. He understands how intelligent she is.
He's the only good adult, really.
Joyce.
Well, no, Joyce is awful at times. Like, we've had this conversation.
Joyce is difficult, definitely, as a mother, but Joyce is not. Joyce is good.
Yeah, no, she is, ultimately. The other thing is then we find out in the very last scene that the Anointed hasn't been killed, as we thought, in the crematorium. It's actually the young kid who's... We already said that, didn't we?
Yeah,
Colin. So that actor, born in 1987.
Okay.
He is now 31 years old. So that is horrifying. He hasn't acted in anything since 2003. So
that's upsetting.
Yeah. Well, a couple of notes here that I got from the Wikia page. So Giles' assertion that he doesn't have an instruction manual is not strictly true. Apparently there is a Slayer handbook. Giles just decided not to use it with Buffy.
Yeah, he does allude to that later on at some point. That he realized,
when Kendra comes along?
Yeah, so basically Kendra is like your rules following.
Sure, I think she refers to a Slayer handbook specifically.
Yeah, and it's implied that the vampire book that he presents her in the first episode is the Slayer handbook.
Sure.
But she very quickly... It's actually, for me, it's a lovely bit of continuity,
Yeah. The other thing I have here is that the Wikia says that the way the Master opens his book is in a similar style to the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, I can see that,
yeah. I've never watched it, so I'm going to have to take their word for it.
Oh, Tales from the Crypt is very good.
Have you watched those?
Oh yeah, yes, I love it. It's like this mad, crazy, my reference for it is the Crypt Keeper, but like this ghoul, who introduces these anthology stories, but also makes like weird bawdy jokes. Like originally the Tales of the Crypt Keeper were like 5 cents comics you would pick up.
Sure, of course.
Like
penny dreadfuls, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But like in the 80s
50s
or early, was it 70s, 80s as well?
Oh, okay.
More recently, and it was very kind of like, ooh, the tale of the black ooze that gotcha, that kind of
thing.
Sure. But like real like Vampira, or it's kind of a real cult thing, or Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah, of course. My number one reference for the Crypt Keeper is that scene in Freaky Friday, the remake from 2003, I think, where Jamie Lee Curtis shouts in the mirror, "I'm like the Crypt Keeper." And every year on my birthday, I retweet myself tweeting that GIF from 2013, and it has 0 favorites on Twitter. I just tweet every year on my birthday. No one ever interacts with it, but it's for me to note that I have grown a year older and I'm getting disgusting.
I'll go with favourite now.
You probably won't.
And the only thing I'll mention is that in terms of our death count, the one vampire with the ring defying physics was staked, and obviously there are 5 passengers on the bus died as well. Sure.
Absolutely. What is the significance of the phrase "here endeth the lesson"?
So it's not something that is this something you've also seen?
Sure. But Buffy and Spike say it at different points in the future.
Is this something you've also read?
No, I remember that.
Yeah, so it is something that they reference, but it's apparently a reference that escapes us and predates us.
But like most things. Apparently on the actual Wikipedia page for it, they're referring to it as being a common usage in church to finish a reading up until the 1950s. So there you go. Just below error, I'd say.
Oh, I actually saw something else about it being a reference to Sean Connery. Actually,
really?
Maybe that was it. You know where it was? It was in this. It's in this book that I have.
Oh, useful.
Book. So with 3 different reasons for why it's there. So none of them are helpful. But according to Pop Culture IQ, in this episode guide, when the Master says "here endeth the lesson," he is parroting dialogue from both Sean Connery and Kevin Costner in the film The Untouchables.
Oh, I haven't seen that in a million years, so yeah, fair enough. There you go. That could be the reference there, yeah.
Okay, so Brian, what rating will you give this episode?
Okay, so originally I was going to give it a 5.3 out of 10. Not because it's awful, but just because it's a bunch of nothing. I don't think it's a bad episode. but I don't think it's a good episode. Ultimately, though, I'm going to give it 6.0 Tweety Bird watches out of 10 because of the scene at the end with Giles and Buffy, which was a genuinely good scene.
Okay, I think I'm going to go a bit lower. I think I'm going to say maybe 4.8 cremains.
Oh wow!
Because I think the scene at the end is fantastic. But I think we're really squeezing blood from the stone with this episode.
Agreed. Yeah.
It was just one of the worst criticisms I can level at Buffy episode. As I said, it was unfocused.
Yep.
And I felt pedestrian, and
that's
it for me.
It didn't feel like the different elements of it tied back to each other. It didn't feel like it was a consistent theme, or like it didn't feel like a deep exploration of the theme of tension between the Slayer life and the teenage life, which is such a great fertile ground. You know, you think they should be doing more with it.
The episode is elevated by the show around it, where episodes transcend.
Yeah, actually, all 4 episodes on this disc that we have, we're watching the DVD at the moment. All 4 episodes on this disc, I actually quite a fondness for because I like that episode well enough. And the other 3 are Angel, The Pack, and I, Robot You, Jane.
Is Angel on this disc?
This is Angel is episode 7.
Okay.
And obviously Angel is by far the best episode of the season. We should do a ranking actually at the end of the season, see which episodes we thought were best.
Yeah, we can argue with that for an episode.
Yeah, no, we don't need to for a whole episode. I think we could just do a quick one. We can agree to a thing for it at the end of it.
I'm just saying it's not going to be quick.
We'll put together a list before we sit down to record the last episode of the season.
Okay, well, anything else you want to add, Brian?
As I said before, please don't tweet at us. Please don't email us. Please don't sponsor us. The amount of social anxiety I'm going to experience the second this podcast is released is going to be disgusting. But it should be soon. So we have a couple of episodes recorded here, and what we're going to do is we're going to release them, a couple of them, at the same time, so you can have a listen to those, and then we're going to be reasonably
publishing regularly.
But we're going to be publishing regularly, but we're going to be publishing without too much of a buffer, which I think is important.
Which is weird temporarily a little bit, because while people are hearing this, you're talking about the episodes are going to be released soon that they've already listened to.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, we haven't released any episodes yet, and we're recording episode 5, which is probably the episode that we should start releasing at. We'll see.
So follow us on MySpace, LiveJournal, add me to your Bebo top 16.
Google Plus. That's dating us right now because Google Plus finished this week.
Yeah, Vine us.
Vine is coming back. I'm so excited.
Brian is very excited. That was a softball I gave him there. But yeah, so thanks so much for listening. If you make it this far, thanks for your engagement. We just, I actually don't think we had. I said this, so I'll say something semi-sincere, but we do this because we really enjoy talking about Buffy. We think it's really interesting, and it's really enjoyable for us as a couple. So we hope you enjoy listening to it as well, and I'll listen to your comments, providing they're all nice.
We found out that last week that there's another couple of people in Ireland doing a Buffy podcast as well, and I'm sure that's really good. I haven't listened to much of it, but we're not copying them.
No, I don't think you can copy a podcast idea.
Watching a podcast about a TV show?
No, in some ways, because that's just a case of poor luck, I think, in some ways. But also
for them.
If you're listening to this, which I'm sure you will, because we'll listen to your show at some point as well.
No,
this is not a threat.
I'm not going to listen to your show.
But so if I was to start a Dungeons and Dragons podcast tomorrow, it could be great.
No,
but there's only 4,000 of them.
It wouldn't be great, Joe.
If someone else was to start one tomorrow, it wasn't me, it could be great. So yeah, we hope that we bring some unique flavour to this. That flavour is whatever flavour white people like. Vanilla, starch, salt. You bring the salt. I taste like mostly Skittles, I think. Thank you very much for listening. We hope you enjoy our podcast. Goodbye until the next podcast that we do. Buffy Boys.